Flavor.
Yeah, boy!
Hey, yo, check 1, 2. This is Flavor Flav in the building for the Better Agency. Nicholas wants everyone to know how they need to listen to the truth that Nick and Preston are giving them. Flavor Flav shouting y'all out right now. You heard me? So hold it down and keep making it a better agency. Alright?
And welcome to another episode of the Better Podcast. I'm joined, as always, by my good friend and co-host, Preston Schmidley.
What's up?
What's going on, Preston? And this is a real treat today because we are joined on the podcast by one of my good friends, a friend to the entire industry, Mr. Ryan Hanley, owner of Rogue Risk, also founder, content creator, podcaster of the Ryan Hanley Show, and it's a joy to have you on here. I can before we get into it, I think when I was remembering in getting ready for this interview today, I remembered back to 2012, late 2011, kind of that time span, and I'd been in the insurance industry since 2005. I was making my first foray into the independent world, and there were 3 names of people that everybody said that you had to know. You had to look up to these people. You had to kiss the ring. You had to look up to them. You had to, it was bowing down before you. We worship and adore you type thing. No, it was 3 people that you had to really look up to because they were doing great things. One was Jason Cass. If you don't know Jason Cass, you know whether or not you know Jason Cass. He's a great guy. His forehead's getting a little bigger these days, but he's a great guy. The other one was Chris Paradiso, and the third was the guy we have on our show today, Ryan Hanley. And I didn't know Ryan, but followed Ryan, listened to Ryan, and just in that time, just grew a lot of just personal adoration and respect for the guy. He's, all jokes aside, he's really, really bright, really, really smart. And if you're not listening to what he has to say, well, then you're either deaf or dumb. And or you just haven't been made aware. So hopefully you're.
That's Ryan's new tagline. You don't listen to me, you're deaf or dumb.
You're deaf or dumb, baby. But,
I'll just stick. I'll get like those I voted stickers, and I'll just walk up to you, and I'll put one or the other on your chest, and that's how I feel about you.
Deaf or dumb.
And you have to kiss my ring.
You kiss the ring, baby. No pun intended.
No, hey man, I appreciate that. That means a lot coming from you. You've done so much and for the industry, and just to hear that means quite a lot. It doesn't. I've said it once. I'll say it 1,000 more times. This industry has given me a life and a life for my family that growing up I could have never imagined. I mean, I don't talk too much about my early days of how I grew up, but let's just say how I operate on a day-to-day basis today and how the life my kids will experience is pretty far from where I grew up. And that is solely to just connections and knowing people like the two of you guys and Cass and Paradiso and so many others. I just think that the people of this industry are so good and so willing to help. And yeah, sure, there's some schmucks, but we love those guys too, because they're fighting the same battle. And I just giving back. I don't know that I could do it. I don't know that I couldn't do it. I would feel selfish to not try to share and connect and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Now you're within your first year of opening up your spot, Rogue Risk.
Yep.
What is that? When you opened up, you opened up right around the time when someone ate a bat and everyone got sick, and then we were all supposed to, hide in our homes for a while. So life, I would assume, hasn't been very planned. What you planned and what you visioned this time last year, it hasn't been exactly what you thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
Take us through that.
What's interesting is, a year ago this time, I was still the CEO of a fitness franchise. And I, as much as I did miss the insurance industry, I did. There's nothing wrong with fitness, but it's just different. It's just a different monster. I hadn't spent the previous 13 years of my life in fitness, but I was trying to do what was right for my family at the time. And Rogue Risk wasn't even on my radar. Now, I had notes from like a decade plus. And really, I took a lot of notes during my Trusted Choice and Bold Penguin days, because I was, for whatever reason, I had the opportunity to sit in rooms with men and women who had done things that were, nothing short of spectacular. Whether they were, presidents of associations, agents who owned, multi-state, 10, 20 location shops, some of the best single location shops, niche shops. We're talking up and down the spectrum, every type of agency, family, corporate. And I just had and I was taking notes. I was sitting there oftentimes just listening, and I was taking notes on what they were saying. And I had always had in my head this idea that I felt like by taking a derivation of all those conversations, I had this concept of what an agency could be. And I knew guys like you and guys like Preston and guys like, I knew guys that were doing it digitally too, doing it a whole nother way that no one had ever imagined before. So I knew these super old school guys all the way to these digital guys. And I had this concept in my head. And when, I was fired as the CEO of that fitness franchise, as I was walking from the front door, literally hat in hand, to my truck, I said, it's time to start my own agency. Like it's just time. And to actually answer your question, no, the last 7 months have been nothing like what I expected. I think some of that has to do with COVID. Some of it is you have absolutely no idea what it's like to own an agency until you do. And it's like having sex for the first time, right? Like you can have people explain it to you all day long.
I was a pro.
But the first time you do it, you're like, oh, that or ayahuasca, so it's like, you just can't, you can explain what these things are like, but until you've actually done it, you just don't know.
Well, I think one of the interesting things too for you is you had so much deep submerged into the industry outside of being an agency owner, right? And I think that I'm sure that you gained a ton of wisdom and knowledge from other people. And so from that, I'm sure that that's helping you bypass years of struggles that most agency owners would go through. But at the same time, I think that part of that is probably, you've heard agents talk about, as I call it, getting your teeth kicked in for years, right? And it's like now I think it's probably, I'd imagine on some level, humbling to be on the agency side, but you have quite an advantage still with the knowledge and wisdom that you've acquired.
So yes to everything that you said. I will say, one, it has been very humbling. Two, I certainly have some advantages. Three, some of that knowledge I wish that I didn't have. And what I mean by that is I have been incredibly guilty of chasing shiny objects because I'm so aware of all the shiny objects that exist. Like if I were just starting an agency, I'd pick a couple tools and for 3 years, I wouldn't even look up. Right. But because I'm so integrated into every tool and this is a blessing. I'm not complaining in any regard, but I have access to things that are going on, information, and to a certain extent, I would love to like to think of myself as an information broker and connector. And that has been, I have had to fight emotional battle. That I would say the emotional side of running an agency is the part I did not calculate for. I knew how hard selling insurance was. I knew how, building marketing campaigns and all that kind of stuff. I knew the timetables that it took to get there. I knew the people that I needed to talk to for the questions that I didn't have answers to. What I did not account for was the emotional part of, wow, I'm making zero money today. Zero money. Right. Yeah. And
I'm spending money. I'm spending money. If anything, I'm losing.
Yeah.
Money.
Oh yeah. Oh yes. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. No, I'm technically losing money every day by operating this business. I'm not giving money to my wife for groceries. I'm not, you know what I mean? Like dealing with that side of it. And then COVID hits. So I spend the first 2.5 months, I formed the business technically on January 2nd. And not that that's when I started working on it, but I really started building out my marketing campaigns in January for a March launch. Like that was the idea. And everything, I got this Cincinnati appointment. They had this tremendous fitness program that had awesome coverage, great pricing. I was like, I just came off of being the CEO of a fitness franchise. Like, I am going to just crush fitness. That's going to be my thing. I looked the part. I knew what to say. 7 days, March 9th, I launch. I send one cold email out to a list, just warming them. It was a simple warming email. March 16th, the entire industry is shut down. It literally just started to open about a week ago here in New York State. So that was like, the emotions of that, like technically I knew, okay, time to pivot. Let's do it. All right, I'm going to go to personal lines. I'm going to do this. And I did those things. The hard part was the emotional part of like, holy shit, I've spent, 5 figures getting this thing off the ground, and my entire launch campaign is now worthless.
Well, right, and you don't have the luxury. I mean, once it hits, you're already late, right? It's like you're either early, so you're on time, or you do it when it happens, now you're late. Yeah. But I also want to clarify something too that I think is worth noting, because I had mentioned, you had the advantages of your previous experience being a trusted choice and all that. I don't think by any means you have anything in that capacity you haven't earned, because you have a ton of. You've been quite dedicated to the industry. You're just on the other side of the fence now. So
no, I knew what you meant. No, I got it. I know, and I appreciate it. And I do think, look, I am blessed in so many ways. I know guys like the two of you guys. I have people that I can call who have the answers to the questions that I have. They will pick up the phone when I call, and they will help me. Not everyone has that. Actually, very few people have the ability to just call someone and say, hey man, here's what's happening. And they're the right person, and they give you the time. I am blessed that my previous work has allowed me to create that network. I'm incredibly blessed, and I don't discount that in any regard. So in that way, I am very lucky, and I have been able to skip some things. I just, I started on Infusionsoft. That didn't work. I went to Pipedrive. I wasn't comfortable there. Then I went to Agency Zoom, and I wasn't really comfortable there. Now, finally, I found Better Agency, and not to plug just because it's your show, but I found a tool that I feel very comfortable with. I like where it's going. You guys are launching things every week that are, the new referral partner tool that you launched is freaking epic. I think 10 seconds after you dropped the video, I was messaging Nick, like, you son of a bitch, like, this is a freaking game changer. Like, the agents that are smart enough to understand what this can do for them, like, this is legitimately a game changer. And, but it took me 4 tools in 7 months to find what I needed, because I'm so, so that has been the hard part. And I guess my advice to anyone listening is, one, I think that unless you're thinking HubSpot or Salesforce and you have an army of individuals to help you run one of those tools, I don't know that there is a better tool than Better Agency. But whatever you pick first, try to stick with it. Like, don't make the mistake that I made, which is jumping around thinking that something's always going to be better. It's not.
Well, I think there's a couple things to that point. I think it's a very natural, when I look at it from this lens, and I look at what you're doing, I can see that, hey, it's like when I run ads, I'll test ads for different things. And when I'm spending, I've got 10 different ads, and I'm spending $100 on each ad a day. I'm meticulously looking at the numbers going, okay, what's happening here? And so you're almost in a panic mode because you have a lot to lose. And so you're very quick with a trigger, or you're quick with a hook to jump from one to the next. And because you're in panic mode, and you got to make this work right now. And so I think that's very, very natural. But, we talk about, we've spent part of this discussion talking about what was unexpected, and with the inference of the negative side of things, or the negative impact. But I'd like to talk about what went right in these last few months. Like, what have you done that you were pleasantly surprised with, or that you said that I struck gold on this thing? What were those things?
Yeah. So I have found that one, focusing on homeowners insurance very early, picking that versus auto has been a help for me, because I've been able to tell people, I can save you money on your homeowners insurance, point blank. There is 9 out of 10 times. And not just that, I can probably, but so I have those talking points, and I've put that, and I don't want to make it all about price. James Jenkins is like, I never sell on price. So, and never buy a lead gen.
James. We love you, James.
And you almost make him sound like he's a fictitious character. James.
No, James and I actually, we have a call every couple months and we just check in because we use a lot of the same tools and we've got to know each other. So I'm just giving him a hard time. But my point in saying that is dialing in on home and comp and making those two things. If you're a business, I'm your comp guy. I invested in David Crothers' Killing Commercial course. I invested in getting my
your workers' comp,
CWC.
your certifications.
Yeah, the certification to become a certified workers' comp advisor.
Awesome.
And those being able to tell people, I can comp. Everybody I talk to, comp, your workers' comp. I can help you with your comp. Let me look at your comp. And that has started to, even 7 months in, I've started to get people who've said, hey man, just my buddy's struggling, or he feels like he's paying too much, or he doesn't understand what he's paying for, or, I had a guy that was referred to me who was friend of a friend, and he was buying a business, and the business he was buying was paying $250,000 a year in workers' comp premiums. 5 seconds in, I said, hey, where's your salespeople? And he said, what do you mean? I said, there's no show. I've been in your business. There's no showroom salespeople. You have like an army of men and women in suits who are showroom salespeople for this business. Where are they on your comp? And he goes, oh, they told me they had to be in the drivers. And I don't know if you know the difference, but that's like a $4.25 difference in comp per 100. So I took him from 250 to 50 in 10 minutes. And that was only because I had told my buddy 1,000 times, if you have a friend who thinks they're paying too much for comp, send them to me. So those kinds of things, by focusing really hard on coverages, not lines of business, have been helpful because, and I just want to clarify that point. I'll be quiet.
So I have you, man. We want you to talk.
Yeah. So I firmly believe that finding a set of niches is incredibly important. I think early on, it's really, really difficult to define a niche early. You're brand new. No one knows you as the trucking guy or the contractor guy. Like you have to go to meetings. You have to send emails. You have to hit influencers. It's really difficult to establish yourself. But as the comp guy or the home insurance guy, it allows you to cast a wider net, but still be very easy to refer. You got to talk to my buddy. He's the comp guy. He's, or whatever. Commercial auto is another one that I've started to leak into, is commercial auto. And that has actually been a good win too. So I think I eventually want to get to some classes of business, but by starting in on coverage specialist versus line of business specialist, that has paid some dividends. That was a pretty good decision.
Where do you want to take the agency? Do you want to be the agency owner that has 10, 20, 30 employees, multiple locations? Do you want to be that agency owner? And there's nothing wrong with any of these models, by the way. Or do you want to be the agency owner that is small team, just you, maybe one other person type stuff, maybe some VAs, and you work out of the house? Like what is the vision for Rogers? Where do you? We can talk about where it is today and all the things that we expected, didn't expect, but we have a vision for where we want to be in 3 years. Where is Rogue Risk in that?
I am happy growing businesses. The moment that I stop wanting to grow the business will be the day that I'll probably sell the business. I am not a good peacetime general. So I don't know if you've ever looked at the concepts of wartime versus peacetime leadership. Jocko Willink talks about it. There's a bunch of books around this concept. Actually, I'm reading The Hard Thing About Hard Things by, gosh, Ben, is it not Horowitz? Is it Ben Horowitz?
I think it is, yeah.
Yeah, doesn't matter. Amazing book. He talks a lot about this concept. Wartime generals versus peacetime generals. So I am comfortable in and operate at my highest capacity as a wartime general, growing businesses, fighting competitors, building out markets. I am not good in peacetime when everything's great.
For sure.
And all you need to do is maintain and just coast. Coast is probably the wrong word, but just operate in the space and slowly iterate and build.
When
And
you wake up and you're not, it's different waking up thinking, what hill are we going to take today versus,
yes,
everybody's showing up at the rally with flowers, for you. It's
yes.
different
I mean,
concept, different mindset.
You can ask Sydney, right? Like, I am demanding. I expect a lot from the people that I work with.
Would it be fair to say you're a dick?
Have it in me
to work with.
No, because I think there's a difference between, I think I ask a lot of people, but at the same time, I am willing to give a shit ton of leeway in exchange for your loyalty.
You want to talk about wartime generals? I mean, let's look at Winston Churchill. Like he had that quote that kind of goes about leadership. He said, "Leadership is the ability to tell somebody to go to hell and have them excited about the trip."
Yes.
Like that's. I think that's the difference between being a leader versus a boss.
Yeah, and I'm not. I just know about myself. I like the challenge. It's about the challenge for me. It's not like I can get at the end of my day when I'm the best to she's upstairs, the best to my wife, the best to my kids, the happiest around the house is when I get to the end of the day and like, you know what? I took that hill. That we went after that and we got it. That's when I feel the best. When it's just like, oh shit, like, because I've been in places in my career at different times when it was all good. Like, we weren't really doing anything. I was making pretty good money and like it was fine and cool, but I wasn't happy.
So then are you going to be the type of guy that when there is peace, you have to manufacture the adversity? Do you have to?
No, because what I'll end up doing is just replacing myself. Like, this is probably not. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. I don't really operate with a large ego in any regard. I just don't care. Like, credit doesn't matter to me. For me, it's about the personal challenge. Am I capable of doing this thing? I have talked with and advised some of the best agencies in the entire country. Can I do that thing? Can I be at that level? I've seen what the best look like. Am I capable? And maybe the answer is no, but I want to know what the answer is. And I think that the vision for Rogue, I think the network of people I have that share similar visions, to answer your very first question, I am definitely not going to get a couple VAs and slow down. For me, I think there is a way to deliver a better customer experience. And I think there's a way to do it at scale that allows humans to still be very much part of the process. I think, not to go back to your tool, but I think tools like Better Agency, like Tarmica, like Neon, like the tools that I promote, like what Chris Langell does and all the things that go into his website, like, there's a reason that the people that are the sponsors of my show are the sponsors of my show. I get opportunities to have sponsors all the time. It's not like I'm, you know what I mean? I choose to present companies to my audience that I believe are the best representation of this human optimized agency that I'm trying to build. And I think you can scale that agency. I think that agency builds fences around its clients, sells, I think it's all there. We're digitizing the soul of the traditional agency. That's what I want to do. I want to take everything that's amazing about the traditional agency and digitize it and take that to the streets, because that is the experience that customers are missing. And I think that's very possible. And that is not a small operation.
Well, and that's something that's cool to hear you say it, because I've always said, like, and this is a personal thing for me, just in the direction of the product Better Agency and everything. But I've always said that we're building Iron Man suits around, we just need the Tony Starks. We need you. We need the body. We need the human being who is an already determined insurance agent, the person with the vision. We're here to build the machine around them and help them be, the world changer in their community, right? It's like the Iron Man suit doesn't really run without the Tony Stark, and Tony Stark's just a man without the Iron Man suit. So it's about creating that symbiosis, between man and machine. And so, it's cool to hear you say that and digitizing this current experience, because by no means do I see a future where humans are replaced. They're only replaced by humans that have embraced technology.
I love that example. I think what you just described is a tremendous way to break down what I think. And I don't want to think
that's his next blog article. He's ripping that.
Yeah, no, I'm not gonna write that. I won't steal it. As much as I kind of want to, I might pick a different superhero.
Yeah. Trademarks.
Yeah, the
Ryan
Spider-Man of I think that is exactly. I look at some of the agents that exist in our space, and I'm like, they are exponentially better salespeople than me. They're more thoughtful. They're more disciplined. They're more articulate. And
they're not better looking though.
No, I'm pretty good looking. That's definitely a bonus. There's no doubt. Tremendous hair,
But we'll give him the other skills. Go for it.
Nick was all bedraggled before this call. He got done up for you.
Yeah. I've been wearing a hat all day. Do we do video? I got hat. I got hat head. I think, why I love this is I look at them like, I'll give you a good example. Josh Gurley. So Josh Gurley just joined Killing Commercial. He's also a CWCA. He is one of the best workers' comp, though he does all the lines. He's one of the best workers' comp insurance agents in our entire country. And awesome. I look at him embracing like tools like what you guys have. I look at him embracing like some of the sales and marketing tactics that David Carruthers has in Killing. And I'm like, holy shit. Like when this dude finally gets the Iron Man suit, like not the one he builds in the thing in Afghanistan with the doctor, but I'm talking like the real one that he makes in New York. Like he is going to absolutely dominate, and there is nobody who can stop him. Like he is a killer. And that to me, like you can't, I don't care how many dicks you have in some Brown and Brown office who have an army of people behind them and a limitless amount of cash to buy every tool that exists. Not everyone in a Brown and Brown is a dick. I'm sorry, guys. But I look at that and I'm like, oh my God, this single location independent insurance agency in North Carolina will eat your lunch. Like they will eat your lunch because they have the Iron Man suit. And I feel like there's too many agents that still believe that's not possible. And it's why I'm glad you guys started this podcast.
It's here.
Yeah, it is so possible today. It's not as easy to build as it should be. Everyone's working towards that, but it's there. You just have to put in that work.
I think you brought up a funny thing about the first iron suit in Afghanistan. It's funny that you mentioned that because I feel like a lot of people, like in their head, they think that that's kind of what they're doing, but in the end, it's just really built with U-Haul like moving boxes and duct tape. Yeah. And so they really just look like a cheesy Halloween costume. Whereas it is about creating something that can actually cause some damage, right? And make you thousands of times better, right? And that might be a strong number, but I mean, we've seen a ton of people that have been able to take a team. We've seen people actually, this is one of my favorite wins, is when users of Better Agency have to realign their staff because they're like, we don't have enough service work anymore for all these people. So they're actually selling now. Like, whoa, like that's huge. Like you actually took a person away from the mundane tasks and you redirected them towards revenue generating. That's the ability to turn a liability into an asset. Like that's huge.
Yeah. I know people. So that in full disclosure, I am not a user of, say, a tool like Neon. I am a Better Agency, but I believe in Seth and the mission that he's been on. And I think it's very similar to you. He just has been the loudest voice. So I want to give him credit for this. For sure.
Seth does great things. I think what he's doing is awesome.
Yeah. The mission that they're on to do second and third layer reporting on where your staff is spending its time, to me, is so vitally important. Where are your producers actually spending their time, right? Yes, you got 17 leads from this source and 2 leads from this source, but where are they? Which ones are they calling? Which ones are bringing in the revenue? When they bring in the revenue, how long does it stay? Regardless of the tool, this idea of thinking deeper about our business than just, now I know, look, I'm in scramble mode. So this is not the stuff that I am actually thinking about. I'm in podcast Ryan mode, not Ryan agency owner mode, because I'm just not there. I'm in literally I need to make sure that the checking account has more money than is on the credit card statement every month. That's my goal. That's where I'm at.
Good goal. That's a good goal for you.
Yeah, that's where I'm at right now. But when I put my kind of industry podcast hat on and I think down the road, the idea of just, I'm going to get Sally to come in. Sally's going to answer the phone. She's going to do whatever request comes through. Someone's going to email, someone's going to text. Some of them will get in the system. Some of them won't get in the system. At the end of the day, she'll be tired. She'll leave. And hopefully our clients got served. But we're serviced because we have humans there. Those days are going away. Like talk to Billy Wagner. Talk to some of these high volume personalized agencies and the depth that they go into and understanding where their people are spending their time. Not so they can just have less people, so that they can use their people in places 100%. That add more value to their agency. And that's the future. And that's one of the core competencies of the future. That's probably better.
Nick and I were just talking about this the other day. And I mean, it's fair to say that we and Seth have the same proverbial enemy. We just attack from different angles. It's I think
it's funny. Maybe you two guys should have a deep conversation with each other.
I think it'd be great. He should fly over to Arizona and we should do that.
Let's meet in the middle.
Yeah.
Arizona is way better than Ohio.
I just saying. So, but no, I was actually, and Nick, I think you guys ended up going there. I was recently out with my parents at this ghost town in Arizona, and there's like tours. It's an old gold mining town, and one of the tours is they take you through the experience of what a mine shaft would have been like, and they're talking about how these guys go down, and there's this, I swear to God, this table's like this elevator was like 4 feet wide, and 20 grown men. Now, a grown men back then that worked was 13 years or older, but these 20 grown men
they were the size of Preston. Very small.
These 20 of these men would go down this elevator shaft. They each had 4 candles and a gallon of water, and they'd be down for 12 hours a day. And they would have to mine with this rod and a hammer. One guy would hold the rod, one guy would hit with the hammer, and they had a candle to light this corridor. Anyways, the reason I'm telling the story is it kind of reminds me of the way most agencies run their business. They're in a corridor of darkness, and they're using this little candle to illuminate their life. That it's practically, the way that technology like this is kind of like illuminating that entire place full of light. And now you actually know what you're hitting at. Now you're not hitting your friend's knuckles when you're trying to, when you're swinging that mallet, you're actually striking gold, right? Instead of just, just wasting time. And so it just from a business perspective, it kind of reminded me of how a small change like light, it's like we take that for granted, but it's like it was the difference between them potentially getting the job done versus not. It's our businesses aren't any different. It's just easy to take that for granted now. And so when you can shine more light on your data and really see what you're doing, it becomes a lot more obvious what needs to be done. Yeah,
Preston, you have great metaphors or analogies, whatever these are. They're tremendous. And I couldn't agree with you more. Again, I think that
thank you.
I think what many people, probably not the people who are necessarily listening to this podcast, but I think because if you've taken the time to actually invest some amount of your time into a show like this, you probably are leaning into some of this stuff a little bit. Okay. So, but if that's the case, then somebody who isn't doing that, because we all do. The issue that they most likely have is they don't believe it's possible. So one, they either don't care, which is fine. Please call me. If you're in New York, I'd like to buy your agency, or I know people that will buy your agency. 2, if they want to move forward, but they just don't believe it's possible, this is not science fiction stuff. Like that to me that is, if you were to ask me, what is the next thing that I've been pleasantly surprised in, it's that once you do pick and invest yourself in the right technology, this Tony Stark Iron Man thing that we talked about, it is possible. It is here. Is it exactly perfect and you press one button and every single thing falls into the exact, maybe not, but it's pretty freaking close.
Not yet anyways.
Not yet. And there is literally an arms race to get there. This isn't the days of like, we just need to accept the next update from, you know, the big Goliath venture-backed businesses. This is agency-owned, growth-focused companies launching releases at a pace that would make their big box competitors head spin. And to me, it's exciting. It's incredibly exciting because it's right there. And I've even seen feedback that I've given you guys in the month that I've been on the platform, or whatever it is, 5 weeks. And I've seen it 4 weeks later. One little thing gets, and I'm like, holy shit, like, I'm sure I wasn't the only one, but man, it feels nice to put a feature request in and actually have
be heard.
Come out the back end. Like,
Ryan,
that feels good.
Ryan, who?
Yeah.
Let me ask you this, Ryan. I'd like to do a little word association with you. So I'm going to give you the year 2025, and I'm going to say these terms. I want you to tell me what it looks like, in your opinion, as we stand here today, in a bat eater, sick pandemic world, what it looks like.
If you believe in COVID, if you believe in it. if you don't believe that the Democrats are just going to cancel COVID on November 5th. I didn't say that. Not that I'm biased in any way, or feel that it's a hoax. Just about everything's a fucking hoax.
Okay.
You need to talk, bro? What's going on, man? Talk to me.
Word association. We're in the year 2025. I want you to tell me where these things are at in 2025.
Okay.
Personal lines insurance.
You have to be very, very good. I think that, I think the market starts to trend towards, I think we go to a 50-50, a hard, real 50-50 split direct. I think the captives start to be cut out of it a little bit. The ones that don't continue to grow. And I think a lot of the captive company, I've gone way too far on this answer. I think that it'll probably be basically the same. I just think there'll be less agencies doing it because I think there's going to be less agencies in general.
You feel like it's going to be pretty much an independent and a direct writer's world at that point?
Yes, I do. I think that more companies are going to go the way Nationwide did.
Well, captives are going direct, or so.
Yeah.
Commercial lines.
What?
Commercial lines.
I think commercial lines, we have a chance to actually take market share back. I think tools like Tarmica, SEMC, I think the automation that's involved, there's no neat box. There's no bakery that doesn't do delivery, that has a storefront in a building that doesn't have any other businesses that the person doesn't want, that also doesn't do deep frying, that doesn't have a 13-year-old behind the counter. I mean, that perfect thing that you can plug in doesn't work. It's why every direct writer has tried commercial lines, has ultimately started to backdoor into independent agency space. So I think that if we do invest in the right tools, I think commercial lines, we could get back into the 90s for independent agents, because now you have digital marketers like yourself who are starting to write commercial lines, and that should be scary as shit for the directs who have tried this space. So if I were listening to this and I was a direct writer of commercial lines, I would start to think about the independent channel as a provider.
Yeah, just start taking a dump in your pants. Agency management systems.
I think
you plead the fifth?
No, I'm fine. I'm trying the best way to put it. I think that there will be, by 2025, so that's 5 years from now, I feel like there will be very viable alternatives to the agency management system. I think there will be. I think that once carriers have personal lines and commercial lines APIs completely opened up, which is happening at a breakneck pace at this point, agency management systems become obsolete. The only reason that we needed an agency management system to begin with is that we needed a digital filing cabinet. And then the broadband was too slow to handle the document sizes that needed to be transferred. So and download didn't work because we sold Ivans to Applied. So when you think about it, like, download is never going to happen. Like, real mass widespread download is never going to happen. It's going to be jumped in the next 3 years by API. It's already happening. Most agents probably don't realize what is happening, but the widespread adoption of API technologies into third parties by carriers it's already happening. The discussion, and once that does, the agency management system is no longer valid. Yes, you need a way to understand your client information, but you can pull it directly from a carrier system on an as-needed basis. You don't have to have it stored in some system on a server in an office with a fan any longer. Like, those days are gone.
The discussion around the AMS reminds me of a meme I saw. A time traveler enters year 2021, and the time machine says, "Please enter valid year."
So, rogue risk.
Rogue Risk. Rogue Risk. I hope it still exists. I have a feeling we'll be in multiple states because once I get profitable on a consistent basis, I'm going to start bringing producers on, and I don't give a shit what state they're located in. I'm going to teach them the system that I've developed. Content marketing is easy, and between that, some paid traffic and the system that I have for developing business, like, it doesn't matter where you are. I'm just gonna. I just want the best producers, and I've already started to develop a compensation structure for them, which makes it long-term viable for them, to kind of own quasi, little like satellite, their own little satellite franchise kind of thing. And I think in 5 years we'll be there. Yeah,
content marketing is your zone of genius. That's exciting.
I think that it's a lost art. I think that I've been pushing it hard since 2010. I think for a little while, it gained a lot of traction, 2015, 2016, 2017. And I feel like the last 3 years, people have kind of forgotten about content marketing. And there are people that still do it for sure, but on a widespread basis, no. People have just kind of been like, meh. And
well, it's like direct mail. People, for years I've heard direct mail is dead. And then all that tells me is that there's no one else doing it. Yeah. And so I should probably start doing it.
Direct mail is actually having a resurgence.
So I use my favorite campaign that I've built so far in Better Agency is a hybrid version of David Carruthers' Killing Commercial 12-month solicitation calendar. So I've built it out in the new lead sequence. And at each month, to correspond with the emails that go out, I have a tag that I add, which sends out a postcard through thanks.io. Mm-hmm. I've already gotten calls from the postcard to businesses. So I find a business, I find out when the expiration date of their comp is, and I stick it into Better Agency. It goes into this new lead sequence. I get a task that says, bing, add tag, 11-month tag. I add that tag in Better Agency. That pushes out through Zapier to thanks.io, and boom, out pumps this postcard right here through thanks.io that the business owners gets. And then what do? 3 days later, I get another task. So then 2 days after that, an email goes out to that business owner through Better Agency. 4 days after that, I get a task in my task list. Call this business owner about how is your renewal or whatever the postcard was.
Can you hold that up for the folks at home? Let's see that photo. Look at that. Look at that guy right there in the bottom left. Oh.
Yeah. Yep, there it is.
Ryan, so are you manually adding that tag?
Today I am, yeah.
We should just make that so that just automatically happens. So you can just sit around in your underoos and,
Yeah. It has been submitted as a feature request.
Perfect. I'll handle it.
But yeah, and my point in saying that to you is it's not just snail mail. It's not just email. Sure. It's not just cold calls. It's packaging it together in a smart way. It's thinking about your customer. What does your customer want to do 11 months out from their workers' comp renewal in my case? Well, they're going through their premium audit, and most likely, because I'd say 99% of the agents listening to this don't give two flying shits about the workers' comp premium audit because they don't even know what it is to begin with or that it's even happening. When I send them a postcard that says 83% of the time your premium audit is wrong because you didn't compare your auditor's mod sheet or your auditor's worksheet versus your auditor's bill, I can help you find the errors and potentially have you pay less on your premium audit. Where do they go? Antennas go up. Bing. Now when I call to follow that up, even though I'm 11 months from renewal, I have their attention. They see me as they've never had this conversation.
Well, you're calling them 11 months before the renewal while nobody else is calling them at all.
Yes. And the reason that I got their attention is because I emailed them, I postcarded them, and I called them. And I do that. You do it over and over and over and over again to enough prospects, and business starts to write. And it's taken me, this is starting to happen. It's taken me 7 months to get this rhythm, to get the right tool, to know what needs to be said, to get the education. But shit, watch the fuck out. Because I'm coming for you, especially you New York agents. Vermont is next, then Connecticut, then Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and then Massachusetts.
That's awesome. He's Ryan Hanley
for president.
Yeah, Ryan Hanley. I'm going to vote him for president for sure. No, Ryan, we want to thank you so much for joining us on the podcast. We know you're a busy guy. Anybody in the first year of business is finding an hour of open time is always a struggle. And so I want to thank you so much for joining us. This has been the Better Agency Podcast. If you're an agency owner looking to grow your agency, if you want to make more money, if you want to keep more of the money that you make, you need to go to www.betteragency.io. Sign up for a trial of Better Agency. It's 14 days. It's going to cost you $1. You've got nothing to lose. You've got everything to gain. If you're a serious agency owner who's serious about growing your agency, then I would encourage you to take that next step today. Preston, any final words?
Keep crushing it, man. We're glad to have you on the journey.
Yeah, thanks. Go
Ryan,
Bills.
Go.
That's my final words. Go Bills. Josh Allen, the truth.
Is he on your
Go
fantasy
Bills.
team? Do you have how many Bills players do you have on your fantasy team?
So this week I have 4 starting.
From the Bills.
I stayed away from the running backs. On both my teams, I have Allen, Stephon Diggs, Tyler Bass at kicker, and Bills at defense.
So you're a real fan. You're a real fan.
Oh, it's my only team. I mean, I love baseball, but Yankees. I'm kind of like I love baseball, but I'm not like a diehard Yankees fan. It's Bills. That's it. I don't have a college team. Basketball is amazing. The NBA is stupid, but it's the Bills.
And that's Ryan Hanley, folks. Thank you so much, guys. You guys have a great rest of your week. We're going to see you guys here. Make sure you tune in, subscribe to anywhere you see this podcast listed on YouTube, Spotify, Stitcher, coming soon to iTunes if it's not already by the time you're watching this. And we'll see you on the next episode of the Better Agency Podcast.